Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is the 2020 C8 Corvette in Elkhart Lake Blue with the 3LT black and red interior. We are here at Blackout Tinting as usual. It seems like I live here anymore, but we're going to go over the interior of this car because we did a video before with the 2LT interior, and this time I'm going to compare what the differences really are. So let's get to it. Before we start, I'm going to show you how to remove this target top. So first step to get the top removed, obviously we got to get inside the car. Now, luckily for me, I have the keys to this beautiful thing. So let's get in here and take a look at the mounts that we have to remove to get this top off. So here we sit in the 3LT interior of the C8 Corvette, and this one is definitely much nicer than the 2LT, but we will get to that in a second. For now, let's take a look up here at the handles we have to remove to pop the target top off. So right here, we'll pull that one out, just like the C7. Over here, we'll pull this one out, again, just like the C7. And then behind us, we have the mount here, just like the C7 again. You'll want to push this up and then pop this forward and then release. So now the top is ready to be removed. And how I usually do it is I'll grab right here and then just push up a little bit until you feel the entire top pop up, just like that. So now, as you can see, it's removed enough that we can get out and now put this in the trunk. All right, guys, so just like the C7, you guys can see here the bottom, which is the top side in the interior, is all Alcantara, and it's got red stitching to match the interior, and it's stitched in a much different way than it was in the C7. Some of the C7s had diamond style stitching, but this is actually a design in the stitching, which is actually pretty cool looking. Like I said, it's going to match the color of your interior stitching, but for now, let's go ahead and get this thing clipped into the trunk and move on to the interior. So for this, we will just drop it down, right down into the actual mount. So that's the bottom mount, and that's where the pin on the back side of the target top is going to go. So we'll just drop it down in here, like so. Then we'll move it back into position. I am being overly careful here because, like I said, this is not my car, and they just recently put the XPEL on the top here, so I don't want to have anything peel or anything like that. So after we got it in there, you can actually pull up the top here enough to see there is a little latch in there that will actually fit right into the target top hole right there, and you just push down and snap it into place. That's it, guys. But anyway, let's move on to the interior. Before we continue, I just wanted to mention the sponsor of today's video, and that is going to be Hyperion. So this is a case that you can actually open up and put your key into, and it will block any RFID signals from being transmitted. What that means is it will block the connection between the key and your car, so nobody can steal the code from your key that goes to the car and steal your car. So with the key for the C8 out, we can go ahead and pop it right into this case here and put the top on. And while it's in here, the car will not start. So even though this is in the car, it will not start because this is blocking all of the connection from the key to the car. So if we press the start button, it's going to pop up on the dash there and tell us there's no key found. So very interesting stuff here. This is a total redesign from Hyperion. This is an entirely aluminum block case with magnets that hold the top closed. I will put a link down in the description below, guys. If you are interested in any of this kind of security for yourself, be sure to check it out. And I'll even put a code down there for you guys to save some money on one. Guys, we're gonna start right here at the door panel. So, like I said, 3LT, black with red trim and red stitching all the way through. It has the Gt2 seats that has suede microfiber Alcantara in the middle and red leather on the outside. This is a much nicer interior than the 2LT that I did a little bit ago. Not to say that the 2LT is not necessarily nice, this just takes it up another notch, just like I said in the 2LT video. Now, this is all Napa leather, all the way through. So from the very bottom of the door all the way up to the top, all Napa leather. There is no rubber, no plastic, it's all Napa leather with red stitching, dual red stitching, and a little red piece here just to show that extra performance aspect. Now, this particular person also got the carbon fiber package on the interior here. So we get a piece of carbon here, a piece of carbon right around the mode selector, and another piece over on the passenger side, as well as the speedometer trim is covered with carbon instead of aluminum. Aluminum's not necessarily bad, but this does take it up another level. So it looks a little bit better, a little more premium, a little more supercar. With the 3LT, we also still get the Bose with the 14 speaker system. We also get the preset seat positions as well as the exit button. And we even have a little pouch down here for some storage with your frunk and trunk release buttons. As you guys know by now, I'm sure, the inner part of the door hinge here actually shows the C8 Corvette with a couple different logos around it. Obviously, we have the C8 Jake logo here, the UAW logo for the union workers, the GM logo up here for obviously General Motors, and then the bottom right here, we have a little Zora head because this is what Zora always wanted. And then of course at the bottom, the best part, American made stuff. So definitely very nice here, guys. Obviously we're all fans of the C8 on this channel, but with the 3LT, it literally makes this car a supercar. Moving on from the door, we get the door sill. Looks exactly the same as the 2LT, nothing different there. Just says Stingray with a little C8 flag in a brushed aluminum style look. Going in even further into the interior here, we get the normal door hatch pull release thing in case the battery dies. You got to pull that thing to open up the doors because these are electronically actuated, as you can hear there. Now moving on, like I said, these are the Gt2 style seats. These are, again, much nicer than the GT1s, but not necessarily saying the GT1s aren't nice. These are just taking it up another notch, like I've said a couple times. These are obviously stitched in color, along with the red leather on the outside, suede microfiber Alcantara on the inside. We got our black and red two-tone with the carbon fiber trim piece running all the way along this seat. Just the design alone looks very supercar, but when you add in the red stitching, the carbon fiber, it definitely screams supercar. Now, the GT2 seats are also very adjustable. We have back and forth, up and down. The back will go forward and back, and it also has lumbar adjustment right here. So this will basically adjust to pretty much anybody out there, regardless of your size. With the 3LT, we still get the wireless cell phone battery charger. We still get the speaker here that says Stingray and has the embossed C8 flag right there. But with the GT2 seats, we also get a shiny black back. So the back of this seat is shiny black, whereas with the GT1, it is just your normal textured black plastic. Again, just like it was with the C7. If you have the normal touring seats, they have the plastic textured back, whereas if you have the competition seats, a shiny painted surface on the back instead of textured plastic. And just looking at it real quick, my tires need some tire shine really bad. And luckily for me, we're at Blackout Tinting in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, so I'll make sure that these tires get some. Now, the biggest part that is different with the 3LT is once we step into the car. So let's sit in here. Inside of the C8 with the 3LT interior, we get an Alcantara wrapped steering wheel with the red center line up here. Also red stitching all the way through the steering wheel as well. But the biggest difference is this horn piece. As you can see, it is Napa leather wrapped with a dual red stitching line all the way around the whole steering wheel. Definitely helps give this car a much higher, much more supercar look. Now, moving on from the steering wheel, we get the exact same setup with the screen here. So nothing different here or with the speedometer. If you guys want to check out either one of those two videos, I'll link that right up here just so you can see it. Like I said, it's all the same. What's different though is this stuff down here. So we got the carbon fiber right through here, which gives it a much higher class look. And we also get that front lift button, which was not on the 2LT because it didn't have the option. So on the 2LT without the front lift, you get just traction control and your front camera button. But on this one, we get the middle button for the front lift. We'll show that to you guys in a second. Now, moving on from there, we also have the red all the way through the center console, right up to the actual center console lid. So in here, again, much higher quality than the pre-production stuff. No squeaks, feels much better, wrapped perfectly with Napa leather and double stitched with red stitching again. Now coming back up to the center area again, we have all the red stuff here, all the red accents for the driver's side, which is split up by the buttons here, and then starts the black on the passenger side with the dual red stitching down the side again. And just like I touched on in the 2LT interior, the Gearshift Select here is very nice. I mentioned that it reminds me of a fighter jet style buttons, and a bunch of people called me out and said, hey, fighter jets don't have a drive button. Of course they don't, but just the way it's laid out, it looks very much so like something you'd see in a fighter jet. Not necessarily the park and reverse, but the way it's laid out, it's very interesting looking, very supercar. Really reminds me of the styling of like what Lamborghini did with the Huracan. Now, we've also talked about the center stack of buttons in my previous video. Again, that is linked in this video if you want to see it, but we're not going to get a whole lot into it other than the fact that the bottom side buttons are for the passenger and the top side buttons are for the driver. So these bottom ones are easier to access for the passenger. That's why GM laid it out this way. Definitely a good design as far as that's concerned. I know that this center stack of buttons is not everybody's favorite design aspect of this car, but at least it's laid out in a way that makes sense. So moving on, we go up to the actual dashboard where you can see there is a little bit of a red cutout right up there, as well as your double red stitching lines throughout here, and some more red that cuts down all the way around into the center console. It's definitely well put together, guys. Very nice, very race inspired. So we get a little bit more red up here and some more double red stitching on the dash just to draw all of this stuff in together. Over on the passenger side, the entire area where the glove box is all red, and we get some more double red stitching up here and over onto the door. So everything kind of swoops onto the door, gives you that same red supercar race performance style to it. And then of course the rest of your panel is that black Napa leather with the red stitching and some more carbon fiber like I said earlier. Now in my opinion here, guys, this is a much higher class interior. Like I said before, the 2LT is no slouch by any means, but this really does just take things to a different level, and it makes it feel more like what the Corvette should feel like, which is basically a normal working man's supercar. Now, if we go onto the A-pillars all the way up to the actual sun visors, everything up here is microfiber Alcantara, whereas with the 2LT, this is just a normal fabric style headliner, as well as all of this area, just normal fabric. So the biggest things you're going to see with the 3LT interior is Napa leather, more double stitching, and Alcantara. Those are really the three main differences between 2LT and 3LT. You also get a couple more color options available only for the 3LT. The 3LT is definitely worth the extra money, guys. If you can swing it, this is the way the car should come. Now for me, I don't know that I would have gone with the red on the interior just because my exterior would be red, so this would probably be a little bit too much. But for a color like the Elkhart Lake Blue, this flows very nicely on the inside. It really gives it that Superman feel. But anyway, one other thing I wanted to show you guys that I didn't get to show you on the 2LT that isn't specific to the 2 or 3LT is the rear view mirror camera. Now by now you guys all know this acts as a normal mirror, or we can flip it and it will actually be a camera from the back of the car. So that isn't really what we're going to talk about, but some of the options that you have with this mirror I didn't get to touch on in the last video. So we're going to turn the car on and I'm going to show you how we can actually adjust some of the features of this mirror. So with the car on, we can now see the mirror is set up here. That's what's behind me here at blackout tinting. Now what I wanted to really show you guys is the adjustability here. So as you guys know, if you flip this here, it becomes a regular mirror, and if you flip it again, it turns on the camera in the rear of the car. Now there is actually a glare here that's showing up on my camera, but in person I don't really see that. So it's kind of odd that the camera's capturing that when in person it's very hard to see any reflection on it. Now there is some, but it's not anywhere near as bad as what's shown on camera here. Anyway, let's get into the options. So there is actually a couple buttons under here, and these actually allow some adjustability to the angle and the brightness of the screen. So if we press the button here to get into the settings, as you can see here, these little icons popped up for me to increase brightness or decrease brightness. So if we'll take it all the way down, and it will actually show over here if you're going up or down in the brightness. And then press this button here again to confirm your changes. Now the second option gives you magnification. So we'll use these plus and minus buttons again, and as you can see, it's zooming in or zooming out. So if you really wanted to get detailed with this stuff, you can zoom in a couple different times and make sure that you're able to see exactly what you want to see. Now if we press the check mark again, we get even more adjustability. We can go up or down. Now this is going to be especially useful to those guys out there with the high wing spoiler. You can actually decide to look over top of it or still stare right through it. And again, just press that check mark whenever you're done. Then it goes back to the brightness. So you have 3 different points of adjustability with the rear view mirror camera, and it's pretty cool. Now, the next thing I want to show you guys is the front end lift in action. So for that, we're going to go ahead and start the car. And everything comes to life, guys. Check that out. So I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly how this front end lift works. I'm going to go ahead and set the camera outside while I hit the front end lift so you guys can see it. Definitely pretty cool, guys, but if you listen to it while we're in the car, you can actually hear the noise it makes whenever the front end lift goes up. It's a little louder than I would like, but it's an awesome feature, so I'll forgive it. So we come over here and we're just gonna press the front end lift button. And then that's it. If we press it again to lower it, it makes no noise on the way down, only on the way up. All right, guys, so that's it for the interior. But before we go, I just wanted to give a huge thank you to Blackout Tinting for allowing me to take a look at this car and talking to the owner, making sure that everything was okay for me to do this. I appreciate it so much. If you guys are local, make sure you check out Blackout Tinting here in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. And also a big thumbs up to Hyperion for sponsoring today's video and helping keep us secure. If you have any questions about the C8 Corvette, the 3LT interior, how to remove that target top or the front end lift, just leave them in the comment section down below and I'll make sure I answer every one of you guys. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. I'm gonna have loads of C8 and C7 content coming very soon. You're not gonna wanna miss either one of these two things, guys. And as always, I will catch you in the next upload.